I'm a retired man on a pension. I don't get much money and I have to live frugally. My daughter had an affair with the man she's with now. This broke up her marriage. The new family member is a 15-year-old teenage girl who is technically my step-grandchild now. I don't see her often, nor do I know her. She lives with her mom. My daughter and her husband married as soon as her divorce was finalized 18 months ago. This has been extremely hard on my grandson. He is 17 and moody, angry, upset, lashing out at his mom. He doesn't want to live with her, but his dad hasn't got a stable home due to the divorce. My grandson is in need of someone in his corner. I decided I wanted to give him some money for Christmas. Normally, I don't give cash to any family member, but I want to help him. He's not dealing well. I gave him the money in secret and asked that he invest wisely, do not blow it on girls or pots. He said he will buy a car. I said okay. My daughter found the cash in my son's room after doing a random search and wanted to know where the money came from. I told her the truth, so she would not suspect my grandson of wrongdoing. She told her partner, and they both want me to take my gift back because my stepdad's granddaughter is left out. I don't want to take the gift back. My grandson needs to know someone is thinking of him. I do not feel I am obligated to give money to someone else's child just because their parent has a skewed vision of what is fair. I will gift the girl some chocolate on Christmas, and I think that is appropriate. My wife has passed away, and I have no one to ask, so I'm hoping the internet will be of some use. Thank you. OP, try telling your daughter that the money is reimbursement for the labor he performs for you, and I concur with the suggestion of opening an account for him. If he needs to have an adult on the account because he's a minor, you should be the co-holder. Given the way his mother and his stepdad acted when they found out about the money, you're right about the poor kid needing someone in his corner. I'm sorry about your wife, and your grandson is very lucky to have such an empathetic, loving and generous grandfather on his side. I hope things get better for him. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. I think your assessment of the situation is spot on. He needs someone in his corner, and that person is you. Perhaps you can go with him to buy a car and help him out. That way, if she insists, he can't keep the money, and there is no problem treating him and his stepdaughter differently. Your relationship is different. You hardly know her. They aren't little kids anymore, and they can deal with that. Yeah, not the a-hole. It's not like step-granddaughter is a little kid you've been ignoring. She wouldn't know the difference between you giving her a gift or not, since she doesn't really know you at all. Your daughter is a fool, but you know that already, right? Putting her need for sex before her son? Note, this is as opposed to divorcing first if her marriage was that bad, and then being with this guy. Not saying she can't divorce, not saying she can't be with a guy, but in the right order. I was once a boy in need of someone in my corner, particularly a male role model. It made a world of difference, at least it did in my world, when a man I could look up to would give me advice or simply just listen to me. Money aside, you're doing something amazing for your grandson by going against the tide and being in his corner. Story 2. I got married just over 2 years ago, but never got the chance to go on a honeymoon because of work. My husband and I finally managed to arrange to get time off in February of 2020, and we booked a trip this June. If it matters, we live in Europe, and the trip is in Australia and New Zealand. We've already paid for most of it. Most of it's non-refundable, and besides, even if it was, we don't know when we are going to get the opportunity to go to Australia or New Zealand again and get as much time off work as we did. And we're also tired as F, so we don't want to cancel it anyway. My brother got engaged last year, but his fiance's family went through some shit. Dad had medical issues, and they never made any concrete plans or organized anything. But suddenly last week, they announced they're getting married on Valentine's Day 2020. They had already started sorting out details like venue, food, wedding dress, etc. around August, but didn't want to tell anyone in case their plans changed again. I told my brother I will be on the other side of the world at that time. He said he totally forgot about that, and that is terribly sorry. I wouldn't be able to be there, and asked me if I was sure I couldn't cancel it. I said I was sorry too, but I won't cancel it. He seemed fine about it. But then, I guess he talked to his fiancée about it and changed his mind. Because now it's suddenly not fine anymore. They're both mad as hell at my husband and myself for not being there during their special day. Especially since I was supposed to be the best man. They said Australia isn't going to go anywhere, but they are only getting married once. She's also trying to guilt trip me on account of her father being sick and almost dying and her not wanting to make a celebration while he was in such a state. But what do I have to do with that? I get it. She didn't want to celebrate while he was in a bad state, and now that he's feeling better, she wants to get married. Maybe she's afraid he'll be sick again and she wants to marry ASAP. And it's her right to do that. But I'm flattered she's upset her brother-in-law won't be there. But I feel like this is almost crossing a boundary. I certainly wouldn't ask them to do this for my wedding, so I don't get why they feel so strongly about it. Maybe because I'm an asshole? You're not the a-hole, OP. You've been making plans to go on a honeymoon for 2 years. And obviously your brother and his fiancée are aware of that. Unfortunately, this is their fault for not considering your trip before setting their wedding date or forgetting about it. Since the trip is expensive and non-refundable, they will just have to live with not having you and your husband at their wedding. Send them a nice gift and enjoy your honeymoon trip. Now for some comments. So you're so important that it will spoil the wedding if you're not there, but not important enough that it's worth their remembering when you're away on honeymoon before planning their wedding date. Get the F, not the a-hole. And they need to get a grip. Have an amazing honeymoon. The bride's sense of entitlement is strong. Being brothers, it's probably not a surprise how difficult it must have been to make the honeymoon happen. It's literally 2 years late. The honeymoon plans were not a secret, and it only became an issue when the brother forgot about it. You aren't deciding not to go. They were the ones that forgot. Therefore, excluding OP by being inconsiderate literally did not consider the guy, and making it more difficult on him than necessary. So while everyone else only has to take a $40 Uber ride to make it to the wedding, OP has to give up on his honeymoon and forfeit thousands, not proportionate. Not the a-hole. The world isn't going to collapse because you aren't at their wedding. You made your plans, paid for it, etc. You have your own life. Bridezilla needs to calm down. Story 3. Context. I've been living with my boyfriend, now husband, and his parents and his sister for 3 years. My husband and I used to date long distance for about 1.5 years, but we had some issues, so I broke up with him. 3 years ago, I was in a bad spot with my parents and decided to run away. He took me in for what we thought would be a week, but turns out we started liking each other again once the long distance was out of the way. It was a bit messy, but what's important is that we decided what was best for us, and that was to be together. So I stayed permanently. His parents were fine with it. Anyways, in the end, how we decided to stay together has been talked about between us. I've never hidden anything from him, but sister-in-law even used our own story against me. Everything was always good between me and his parents, but his sister has something against me. Is it even me? That I have no idea what it is, but it just makes her general behavior erratic. See, my sister-in-law was always the pretty girl my in-laws favored while my husband was the scapegoat. It has always been like that, and it will always be like that. As for my in-laws, I haven't figured out if they're avoiding the situation and not picking sides or completely oblivious to what's going on. In the future, I'll update as shit happens, but today I just want to dump you the little golden nuggets of just know my emotionally abusive sister-in-law from hell has managed to throw at us. The juicy parts. Number 1. My husband has this girl that liked him in his teens, but he's now with me, which is obvious to pretty much the whole world. She works in a restaurant my in-laws enjoy eating at. I've heard everything from sister-in-law. Oh, we've done so much for this girl to be part of our family. Now this girl would be fit perfectly in our family. Always referring to the girl as her sister-in-law and as my in-law's daughter-in-law while I'm standing right there. Mouth open wide, waiting for anyone, any effing one to say anything to set us straight. But no, Nothing. We were just dating at the time. Fast forward to a few months or a year or so, there is a huge dinner, about 15 plus guests, extended family and family friends, and the conversation somehow skips to how my husband is well equipped in the pants, if you know what I mean. It was just silly all around. We were all laughing until, I kid you not, that beep just turns to everyone at the table and says pretty loud, "But his dick is being wasted and put to bad use, if you know what I mean," referring that I'm his partner and therefore, well, I'm having sex with him. That was so embarrassing, so demeaning. I was so effing ashamed, and I just waited and no one stood up for me. Not one, not even my significant other. At the time, I was just the girlfriend, so I didn't want to make a scene, but was really hurt that not even my significant other stood up for me. It's still something I resent him for every time I think about it, and every time she says something. I don't like being in the spotlight, so I never really answered her, but I'm slowly starting to step up for myself, since I'm now married, so I do have a say. She always tries to put her mom and parents against me, usually by going as far as lying. Husband and I were alone one day having sex and she arrived. We were in our room, loud music, bish please, we're all grown-ups. Of course we have sex. And she says she heard us and screamed, "That's disgusting," through the door. We didn't hear her say anything, but the next day, her mom was acting pissed. So I went to investigate and her mom told us that she said we were having loud sex and that she said it was disgusting and that we didn't mind her. Her mom then added, "This isn't a hoe house." I defended myself and explained the situation, but imagine my effing embarrassment talking about sex with my mother-in-law and feeling so bad. I still to this day don't know if she called me a hoe or not, but that comment stuck to me. Number 4. Sister-in-law has also been saying that I keep her apart from her brother, that I'm the reason they barely speak, that she feels so alone since I'm here, that whenever they're talking I try to push him away from her. And she has said this to his parents and to outsiders too, when she's the one bullying me. I always encouraged my husband to stand up for me whenever a situation like this arises, but never give up on being a good brother or cutting contact with her. Well, he's done the opposite during these 3 years and the blame has always fallen on me. Number 5. Another random fact on why she's despicable: she legit hides food in cupboards and a drawer in the fridge so no one in the house will use them. She hoarded 5 cups of coffee in a cupboard so we won't use them. She brought a toast maker to her room so she can make toasts in there and it just stinks. Whether she's making them or if she's not, we have both of our rooms on the same floor so we can smell it. Number 6. She now refuses to be at the table when I am, proceeds to take a plate to the living room and put the TV super loud while the other 4 of us are in the kitchen eating. Number 7. She called me a S-slang, basically saying that if her brother wouldn't have taken me in, I'd be with anybody else right now. To which I replied that we fell in love all over again after being together in real life for a bit. It has nothing to do with her really. In the end, I'm with him and no one else. I'll also add I've been having issues with my significant other because I'm now pregnant and I want to leave, but he doesn't accept any of my suggestions about apartments or houses. I feel so alone and stressed. I just don't know what to do anymore. So what else to do than come here and rant extensively.